I arrive in the Ifugao region in the rain. The weather's changeable in the centre of Luzon, the main island in the Philippines. Typhoons, flooding and volcanic eruptions happen there every year. The rain refreshes the eyes. It makes things look different. Mountain sculptors, the Ifugao people shaped the landscape 2,000 years ago to cultivate rice and blend it in with the clouds. I'm going to Cambulo, a small rice-growing village where I hope to hear the hudhud, the epic song taught by word of mouth that tells the story of the Ifugao people and their mountains. I'm going back to the origins of the country, before Spanish colonization. But maybe it's simply the desire to see traditional and exotic things. The people of Cambulo agree to give a performance for me as they would at weddings or at celebrations to mark the rice grain calendar. The show will combine the hudhud, some traditional dancing and a little rice wine.
Takun na jukan takun pipinugan hi puralaki inoan panging ingaun takop
mayam antogat balon apuro to
The story, it's about a love story between a man and a woman. And although there's love or there's no love, there's always some dispute between, but fate and destiny will bring them together. It becomes longer because the usage of words don't go straight, but it goes around the bush before they target the main meaning of what they mean to say. And that is the hudhud. It is not a direct speech, it's a poem.
Bubat kita masruwinik an pupuair an tumatayaw.
Exoticism isn't the whole story. In exchange for the performance, I was asked to contribute to the Children's Transport Fund, which had run out of money. The traveller sometimes has to do his bit too. I wonder why, in the context of the economic boom in nearly all of Asia, Cambulo can't pay for their children's bus. Why do the Philippines remain in poverty? Is it even possible to discover a country? Only the journey can answer that. From the Ifugao Mountains, I'm going to cross Luzon to the southeast of the island. I'll take a boat across to the island of Masbate, and a ferry from there to the island of Cebu. Then I'll fly to the island of Palawan, which is known as the last paradise. Manila, 14 million inhabitants and the centre of power in the Philippines. I'm curious about the country's living conditions. It's the human landscape that interests me. In town, I come across a gay demonstration. There are said to be 600,000 members of the Lad Lad Party, which put up a transsexual candidate in the last elections. It's a paradox in an ultra-Catholic country, where homosexuality and the use of contraception are punishable by excommunication.
Jesus can change you. Maraming mga tao, I know many persons who think homosexual. They can be saved, they can be changed by the blood of Jesus Christ.
I still feel like we face discrimination on a daily basis. We love privately, but overall in our society and in the government, LGBTs have been discriminated against in our country. So we're here to represent and fight for our rights to be heard.
Kayong dapat na parusang darating. Ipakilala ninyo sa pamamagitan ng inyong pamumuhay na kayo'y nagtitigil bilang tanda ng pagsisisi ninyo at pagtalikod sa inyong mga kasalanan. Taon-taon, pipili ka ng isang kasalanan na hindi mo gagawin. Hindi mo gagawin. Pagtawag sa iyo ng Panginoon, langit ka na. Amen?
Maraming salamat.
Hi, I saw you yesterday at Gay Pride. What are you doing here by the church? Carlos Celdran is a social activist. 3 months ago, he entered the cathedral waving a sign promoting family planning in front of the bishops. He was imprisoned for 24 hours, and there are now criminal proceedings against him. Under Article 133 of the Penal Code, which dates from the Inquisition and is still in force, he risks 6 years in prison for blasphemy.
What is the RH bill? The Reproductive Health Bill. It is a bill that's been sitting in Congress for the last 14 years. A bill that hopefully will provide contraceptives for free to the poorest of Filipinos and sex education in public schools. Right now, in the city of Manila, contraception is completely banned by the local government.
Why?
Is that Catholic? Catholic. There's a very fine line between separation of church and state in the Philippines.
"90,000 women every year are said to suffer from complications following illegal abortions. Even the Republic's president, who is in favour of family planning, is threatened with excommunication.
Historically, the Catholic Church has been really the only firm institution in the Philippines. The Catholic Church was the force that colonized the Philippines more than Spain, because Spain was too far. And since there's no idea that there was gold in the Philippines, it was kind of a low priority colony for the King of Spain. So the Philippines was basically run by the Catholic Church for 300 years. The Philippine birth rate far outruns the growth of the Philippine economy. The people who are increasing are the ones who, at the end of the day, becomes rather much of a burden to the state. I mean, we're talking about the poorest of the poor are the ones who are increasing because they're the ones who are not given the access to reproductive health. Simply because the Catholic Church is interfering from their right to plan a family.
Manila has long been known for its shantytowns. The situation is getting worse rather than better, and I want to find out more. Carlos advised me to go to the Fabella Hospital, which is one of the largest maternity units in the city. As it's free, this maternity unit receives all the poor people. Two beds side by side for 4 women and 4 babies is the norm here.
I'm happy because, well, the baby's father wanted me to be pregnant. He wanted a child. I've given him this baby. I'm happy even though I nearly died giving birth. I'm happy, euphoric even though it was painful, even though I had to push and push. I'll do anything for my child. Why 6? We didn't really intend to. My last son is already 6 years old. I'm a Catholic and my husband's a Baptist. I don't think that affects us. I'm not the only one to have 6 children. Perhaps it's a gift for us. We were very careful, but this baby still came. It's the 8th time I've given birth. I had 7 children with my first husband. Then these twins with my second husband. But they don't have a father. He's left. It's just them and me. They only have me left.
Pagka-high peak po, over 100 po minsan. Pero sa ngayon, di ko po alam kung I don't have the exact number. Kasi bye-bye na sila.
In 1986, the population of the Philippines was 60 million. It has now reached 100 million, an increase of 40 million in 20 years, or 2 million per year. 34% of the population is under 15. Overpopulated Manila has no more space. Behind Makati, the city's prestigious business area, families live in the cemeteries. So from the maternity unit, I continue my journey in the cemetery.
Everyone living here is homeless. They have nowhere else to go. We used to live in the South Cemetery. She was in the South Cemetery with me. We were thrown out because living there wasn't allowed. Even the children and old people were thrown out. They live in the little chapel the other side. She's my best friend. This is my little home. This is where we live. It's where I live. Well, I live here at the moment because I've got nowhere else to go. That's it. That's the way it is. My husband and I sleep over there, and the children sleep here. I have a hearth over there for cooking. We use wood for the fire. That's how we survive. We do casual work and come home in the evening at 6:30. I have 8 children. 4 are already married and I have 3 still living with me. I'm Mirasol. I'm 18 years old. When I was pregnant here, I was a bit scared because of the ghosts. It was scary. I lived in the South Cemetery since I was a child. That was where I grew up. I stayed there till I was 48. I've lived on this side of the cemetery for 2 years. We still work in the South Cemetery where we clean the graves. We earn about €2 per month. Sometimes we're paid and sometimes not, that's how it is. My husband doesn't work, except when we're asked to look after a grave.
€30 million Filipinos are said to live on less than €1 a day. I tear myself away from Manila. I go down to the southeast of Luzon, via the town of Naga and the Mayon volcano, to reach the coast at Pilar. Flying is only for people who can afford it. Most Filipinos take jeepneys or buses, and if there aren't any, they improvise. I'm taking the skate, a system created by the people for the people and completely self-managed. It's a collectivist transport system that works. The principle is simple. The most heavily laden skate has priority. I realise that in the country, as in the city, there are people everywhere. People live together, sharing whatever comes along. In fact, the basic social unit in the Philippines is called the barangay, the village, and its organisation shows solidarity.
It's not expensive because it's our only means of transport. Out of 20 villages in Mileo, ours is the only one with no road access. You have to change 3 times to go to Poblacion. No, 4 times. You leave here by skate, then jeep, then you take another jeep to NCC and another to Poblacion. This is our main transportation. I hope someone will be able to help us with funding for our road. We asked the Philippine Railways for a train, but they said that the rails would have to be repaired and there's no budget to do that. I wasn't expecting to be filmed.
I flirt with Mount Mayon, an active volcano with an almost perfect conical shape, supposedly more perfect than Mount Fuji. But volcanoes are as fickle about revealing themselves as they are startling in their eruptions. This one remains partially draped in clouds. On Sunday afternoons in the Philippines, the men go to the fighting ring. I pass one on the way. You can hear it from a long way off. The gladiators are feathered and armed with fearsome, razor-sharp blades. "80 fights take place, their confrontations lasting less than a minute. The victor wins the right to fight in the ring once more, at higher odds.
Cockfighting is part of our culture that comes from the Spaniards. Now we've made it into a business. You see all these people? It's their job. Some of them breed cocks, others sell them and make money with them. Some people have been able to send their children to school. Others have been able to finish school thanks to cockfighting. Then there are the carers, the people who fix the blades. They're the bet takers. They're called Cristo. They're bet takers. They take bets from from all sides. That's what we have here. It's very popular because it's legal. This kind of gambling is allowed here. And I think it's the very best form of gambling.
The money that is so necessary and so rare is as crumpled as a scrap of paper that you throw away. I finally reach a coast of the Philippines, a land of 7,000 islands. The country's difficulties have made a large section of the population emigrate. Maids, nurses, sailors. 10 million Filipinos work abroad in order to send money home. It ranks third in the world for the exportation of its people after China and India. The sardine fishermen have stayed in Pilar, the small port where I'll take a boat from Luzon to the island of Masbate. Happy to live in the here and now, that seems to be the Filipino motto. Travelling is an adventure. You set off looking for one thing and you discover another. I imagine the Philippines surrounded by white sand and bathed in sunshine, but I see people, my contemporaries, people like me, and I look at the way they live. It's not the image conjured up by the guidebooks, it's real life. I land on the island of Masbate. I take the Ro-Ro, an inter-island transport system combining bus and ferry. I cross Masbate to the port of Katangan, and then I take the ferry to Bogo on the island of Cebu. From Bogo, I go to Cebu City by road. Cebu is the second largest city after Manila. It was the first Spanish colony in the Philippines, which were named in honor of the Prince of Spain, the son of Charles V, the future Philip II. The thought of Christianization inspires me to go to Mass at 4 a.m, which the faithful attend every day in the 9 days leading up to Christmas. It's a funny sort of mass, with a combination of paternalism and stand-up.
Di nasuko sa iyang anak, kaya di palit sa iyang anak, mahal tayo. Mama, alang man sa akong Christmas party, karon adlaw, unya na ami exchange gifts. Og mauni ang ako ang gusto. Pagtanaw sa iyang nakuratan na sa price. Mahal ni anak. Murag 5 naman ni ka-kilo nga kuan. Karne, sige lang mama kay mauna akong gusto. Tanawa. Kabalo mo bilang price, 795. Kapag man ako, dili siya gusto ang inahan. Kabalo ka namang teknik sa kabataan. Di ba? Di ba? Ang hila-hila, isuot na siya. Tanawa.
At the time of colonisation, Ferdinand Magellan was making the first circumnavigation of the world. He landed in Cebu on the 5th of April 1521. 20 days later, he was killed in battle by Lapu-Lapu, a native ruler. Lapu-Lapu didn't even have a sword. He fought with sticks, a martial art called eskrima, which was declared as the national sport of the Philippines in 2010.
The Spanish soldiers and the Filipinos are fighting each other because, when they arrived in Mactan Island, the chieftain there is our national hero, one of our national hero, Lapu-Lapu. And, Filipinos, jealous type, no? And when Magellan arrived at one of the beaches in Mactan, so Lapu-Lapu was there and did not allow Magellan to enter in the island, especially for the purpose of Magellan maybe to Christianizing the Filipinos or like that, because during that time maybe I don't know yet because I was not yet born during that time. That's what I have. So Magellan and Lapu-Lapu fight Magellan using only with wooden wood. Yeah, man. For example, he will use this one, so I will use this one. This is yours. If he will hold my stick, then I will use this one for counter. If he'll strike me here, then he will box me. I have to use this one. But if I'm doing this one, I have to use this stick. I have to use this stick. Bang! Sweep it. For short, our style is for street fighting style, not for competition. Oh no!
I travelled to Danao, not far from Cebu. It's a small city that's known for its gun industry. About 100 formerly illegal gunsmiths were brought together into a cooperative under the control of the state. There's constant violence in the Philippines, with the armed struggle of the Islamic Moro National Liberation Front in the south of the country, the guerrilla struggle of the Maoist New People's Army in the north, and the robust democracy practiced by gangs who like to talk with guns.
This is how we started this reservoir. We have the pattern, and we have this solid metal. Then we just put it here and have it cut. Then bore it here, then this is the outcome. This is already almost finished. This would be, we could fire this one.
I think popular siya ang baril dito.
Guns are popular here in the Philippines.
Kasi lalo na pagka may mga criminal.
But they are mostly used in murders or hold-ups.
Sa lahat ng crimes committed, it involves gun. And they are always
And you find out in the newspapers that the guns used in these crimes are illegal. They're not licensed.
Are illegal, not licensed one.
But all the guns that come out of our cooperative are licensed.
Being out there would be licensed.
In this country with such a huge crime rate, the prisons are overcrowded and rehabilitation of criminals is a challenge for society. The Cebu Detention and Rehabilitation Centre has come up with an answer, a choreographed show with over 1,000 dancing inmates, and a public performance for visitors every last Saturday of the month. Dancing in prison. The Filipinos have maybe invented something that could revolutionize our perception of prison life.
I'm extremely satisfied. We're all very happy. We didn't expect to get so much international exposure. No, really. For us, it was just a program of rehabilitation through exercise. We put it on YouTube just to see, and people who saw it were so surprised. They wondered if we were real inmates, real prisoners, if it was a real prison. Really? Were there orange clothes, really prisoners' uniforms? And then people started to come here and it became a huge success. We couldn't believe what was happening. We were famous.
Their fame had financial consequences that gave rise to corruption. After being temporarily suspended for a big administrative cleanup, the rehabilitation program has restarted under new management. I'm lucky enough to go in there for just a few hours.
As of this moment, they're very busy distributing shoes because, the governor give them shoes, all inmates.
I was allowed to pay an unrestricted visit. There are 1,500 prisoners here, including 60 women. There are 14 people per cell.
Morning. Hello, sir. Hey. Morning. Good morning. Morning, sir.
We like dancing. No one forces us to do it. I didn't know how to dance before, but I've learned in the 10 years I've been here. I don't know how long I still have to serve. All of us here are waiting for our cases to be processed. It's hard because we're a long way from our families. At the beginning it was hard because practically no one really wanted to dance. They didn't want to do it. But after a while they decided to do it because it has advantages. It's good for the body. It's good exercise. I'm happy when people say, "Hey, I saw you on YouTube." So I say, "Thank you." That's how I answer them.
In my part, dance is just a cycle of my life here inside the prison cell. Just not getting bored, just not think about my case, not just to think about the situations my family. I just really try to enjoy myself to dance because I know dance is just part of myself. Just to continue to being learned, to keep away from the family, not to mess them.
Which of you dances? Us three. How long have you been here? She's in for murder. I've been here 2 years, she's been here 3 years. How long have we got left? It depends. She committed a murder, I'm in for drugs. She's in for drugs too. She's in for gambling. All our cases are different. What's your life like here? Happy. We're happy. Happy and sad. Sometimes happy, sometimes very lonely.
One day, some inmates went out in handcuffs, and then there was a problem with the police truck. A flat tire. People who had seen them weren't afraid, and they said, "Ah, you're the dancing inmates. Can we have our picture taken with you?" People weren't afraid anymore. That's what we wanted to achieve. To make people realize that they're human beings too. Yes, they're human beings. They're in prison, but they're still human. We're proud of them. I'm proud to be their choreographer, and they're proud of being dancers.
The CPDRC allowed me to use a truck to go back to town. It was the first time I've been happy to travel in that kind of vehicle. Tomorrow I'm leaving for Palawan, which people call the last paradise, or the last frontier. From Cebu City, I'm going to the island of Palawan, which I'll cross from south to north, up to Flower Island, and I'll end my journey in the Calaman archipelago on the island of Coron. At the start of my journey, I had landslides to contend with. Here, it's floods. And these floods are apparently not just a natural phenomenon. Palawan is divided into nearly 400 concessions, which are being allotted to mining, gas, oil and marine companies, and companies producing oil palms. There's a conflict brewing between the authorities and the local people, who are opposed to a nickel mine which they blame for the flooding.
The mining industry can really affect people's lives here. We all depend on irrigation to cultivate the rice. And the mountain and rice fields are affected by the mining works.
The mine isn't yet open, but there has been a lot of drilling and you can see the flooding. It's not even raining very hard. So what will it be like when the mine is operational? Our irrigation system has already been damaged. The mining operations will have an impact on the rice fields and on the soil itself.
The mountain over there is Macroasia's nickel concession. It's a concession of more than 5,000 hectares. Mount Guntung is our tribe's holy place. The ancient stories which form the basis of our Palawan tribe's culture took place over there. Mount Guntung is also a source of water. It's covered with rainforest which regulates the hydrography. It maintains the volumes in the Masin and Sabsaban rivers, and it's very important in summer during the dry season.
Last night, Tisoy received a death threat from someone in the mining company. He takes the threat seriously because a radio journalist with links to the anti-mining movement was recently murdered. He's invited me to a meeting this evening with residents who are against the mining project and who want to act to preserve their rights.
The law is being violated often, very often. It's as if, how can I put it? In fact, they're cheating. They're taking shortcuts with the law. They're buying the authorities. In theory, the law is there to protect us. In theory. But in reality, it encourages investors and companies. It's on their side. Not on the side of the people. Not on the side of poor people. It supports the capitalists, not the Filipinos.
Back in the town, I'm driven round in a motorised tricycle. Across the Philippines, I've seen several unusual means of transport. Each province has its own style. Here, the tricycle is king. They're made locally in small workshops, which produce 2 to 4 a month. When the police came to investigate Jude in Abracia because he displayed a communist flag, he explained that it was simply because of his name. He likes the play on words.
My surname is Abracia, and it sounds like Russia. That's why I put up the flag. Abracia, Russia. And the JCA is for my children. My eldest son is called John Kennedy, and my daughter is called Anna. That makes JCA. That's why I put that up.
Who gives the names to the tricycles? That one's called Trisha.
Trisha is the name of the tricycle owner's daughter. The other designs come from manufacturers of racing gear. They're sports brands. But Trisha really exists. It's the name of a real person.
As I travel north towards the port of Taytay, I notice many signs saying beach for sale. Beaches and islands. There are 1,700 islands in Palawan, mostly deserted, without names, to be sold or just taken. Located at the crossing point of the routes of pirates and adventurers, Palawan is still influenced by a current that has flowed for centuries between Borneo and the South Philippines, which produced many mythical characters such as the English Raja, James Brooke, or the heroes of Joseph Conrad, like Lord Jim. But today's heroes aren't quite like those of yesterday. Jacques Branelec arrived 30 years ago from Tahiti, where he produced black pearls and is now associated with a powerful Filipino family. He reigns over his island kingdom, several islands scattered from the north to the south of Palawan, 6 pearl farms, 1,000 employees. It's the first site in the world devoted to the golden pearl, which is only found here.
Are you okay? I'm sorry,
In exchange for maritime concessions, the government, which lacks funds, delegated the functions of water bailiff to Jacques Branelec, which he himself has extended to social action. I get an unexpected welcome. I've arrived during a Christmas party organised for people from neighbouring islands.
These are our nearest neighbours, so we've developed excellent community relations with them. It's a bit like a family.
You know you love me, I know you care. Shout whenever, and I'll be there.
Happy Christmas!
Thoroughly integrated into the country he loves, Jacques Branalac wants to face up to the real challenges in the Philippines.
Ilang baboy nang matay na yon? Ilang baboy?
It's a wonderful country with wonderful people. There's a lot to do and there's room for people who want to do things. You can solve the problem of poverty if you give people some fairly simple things. You're not talking about large amounts of capital, but you need to make the quality of provincial life interesting so that people don't want to go to the city. That's why they need to find a complete and balanced life with, above all, good nutrition. That's easy because everything grows. The problem with the increasing population is that there isn't enough of the original biodiversity left, because it's all been destroyed. They exhaust all the resources in one place and then they move to the next place. And when there's nothing left, they either starve to death or they go to the city to find jobs and live in slums. So we really have to find sustainable forms of development so that people stay on the islands. Instead of imposing the same thing everywhere, what we've done is develop pilot projects and created a desire. Look, the economic conditions are better here. The people live better on this island. Why don't you do the same thing? So we don't impose things. People come to us to ask for training in organic farming or training in seaweed cultivation, for example, or cultivating sea cucumbers, for which there's a huge demand in China, and that gives some very interesting alternatives.
These projects supporting local populations, which also serve as a laboratory for an alternative model for fighting against poverty, are financed by the pearl farms. I go with the divers to collect the oysters whose pearls have reached maturity. The sacks are attached at depths between 3 and 30 metres. They're turned regularly so that the pearls develop evenly. Each oyster will be handled 300 times over a period of 5 years. Out of 700,000 pearls produced each year in the 6 farms, only 5 to 6% are top quality golden pearls. The extraction is a moment of revelation. The pearl can be imperfect or a pure marvel.
The first is B. No, it's C. This is D, that's a reject. This is A. When you think about the life story of the pearl, the sun's energy produces plankton. The plankton feeds the oyster creates calcium, its shell, and then man comes along and asks, "Can I borrow your shell and your energy to create something even more beautiful that will be the shape and color of the sun?" And then after 20 years research, nature rewards us with a little piece of sun that's the color of gold. The difference is that you can't look directly at the sun, but the pearl, even in the dark, will always give you a little ray of sunshine.
I reach the island of Coron. The sun is shining on this final stage. At the beginning of my journey, I wondered if it was possible to discover a country without being an explorer, a colonist or an investor, but just a friend from abroad with his own take on things. I've observed the human landscape all along my journey. I can still see the women in the Fabella maternity unit, the families in the cemetery in Makati, the church people, the dancing inmates, a society of hope. I've now come to one of the most beautiful places in the world, an inland lake still protected by those who live there. It's a landscape of water and rock that some call paradise, and I hear the echo of a voice murmuring, "There's a lot to do." As for the last frontier, I'm still looking for it.